Hi, Gabe. Hi, MTH. Hope you don't mind me butting in. Okay, Gabe, the concept of Darmakaya. This is a Buddhist idea regarding textual criticism that is applied in the interpretation and appreciation of Buddhist holy text. This, incidentally, including the Eightfold Path and further commentaries, but I'll get into that in a second. Essentially, the idea is that the thoughts, processes, and interactions provoked by the Eightfold Path are essentially part of it. Practical example. Someone sits down and reads the Eightfold Path. The Dharmakaya, most easily translated into English as the living teaching, includes the Eightfold Path. And the Eightfold Path is the entirety of Dharmakaya. But the experience of the reader is also part of the Dharmakaya. The commentaries that the reader may encounter and may reference is part of the Dharmakaya. The translation process, the difficulties inherent in reconciling discrepancy, these are all part of the Dharmakaya. Basically, the idea being that the text itself is instructive. The text itself is useful, but also the interactions with, the difficulties one encounters in, the processes with which one engages with the text are also instructive, and are instructive at a comparable level of importance to the instruction of the text itself. Now, that process is shaped by the text, absolutely, and that is the role of the text in Dharmakaya, in this Buddhist idea of reading a holy book. I think this is a very useful concept, a very useful model for approaching textual criticism in a Christian context. If we were to take the idea of Dharmakaya and apply it to the reading of the Bible, we would come across a very different and I think more workable model for inspiration than we generally encounter in the conventional use of the term. Rather than inspiration as, as it's presented by the inerrant folks, the suspension of the author's humanity when God compels them to grip the pen, or even in the slightly looser idea, an inspirational process involved in the writing of Scripture, and if we really go far afield, maybe even in the translation of Scripture. We then come with Dharmakaya, we have the idea that the discrepancies that we wrestle with and that we try to reconcile, or at least make sense of, the instruction that we receive, the instruction that we form in our cognitive processes as we are handling these problems, this too is part of the spiritual maturation that Scripture is intended to provide. And in this view, those difficulties and discrepancies are not problems, but are opportunities, and are opportunities that are inherent to the nature of the text and the purpose of the text. So, I hope that clarifies a little bit. I could certainly stand to talk about it at greater length, but I just wanted to broach the subject briefly and let you go.